Guilty Gear Strive. Now this is a game that's been around for quite a while now, but it's continued to be a solid fighting game for fans to enjoy. As for right now, it seems like it's in a great place, getting consistent updates, and there seems to be a new wave of content down the line. However, with the new content comes the question of, how easy is it for new players to get into? Or better yet, how easy is it for new fighting game players to get into compared to other games? Fighting games are hard to get into, but I finally put my foot down and gave them a shot in my Tekken video. Now, as I set my sights for something new, Guilty Gear was a really appealing choice. It had the longevity to back it up, and I wanted to see if that would affect how accessible the game is for newer players, and how the tools Guilty Gear provides stacks up to something like Tekken's. And after playing it, it's safe to say that Guilty Gear is definitely a solid pick for fighting game idiots. And in this video, I'll show you just what you fellow noobs have to look forward to when it comes to learning Guilty Gear. But without further ado, let's get into some Guilty Gear.
That is bullshit! Blazing, still my heart is blazing.
Yes! Oh yes!
Soon you will know. We already know the smell of the king.
Now, in order to get the full newbie experience, we gotta ask ourselves, what's the first thing that comes to mind when starting out in a fighting game? Well, for me and probably many others, the main thing on our minds is, how does the game feel? Does the game control well, or will it feel like I'm fighting with my character at every turn? And the answer is the former, because the controls are buttery smooth. Guilty Gear is fluid. It doesn't take long before you zoom around the match, whether on the ground or through the air. The controls are also extremely simple and easy to understand from an offensive standpoint as well. Your jab and kick buttons, or P and K, are fast options to get out of attack strings or can be used as combo extenders, while slash and heavy slash are going to be good damage dealers and combo starters. You also have the dust button, which encompasses a variety of moves. It has a dust attack, which hits over crouching enemies, sweeps, which knock your opponent down, and finally grabs, for when you need to get a little close and touchy with your opponent. These different attack types all have distinctive properties that give you a good idea on when to use them and why. On top of this, each character will have special moves that are the main spice that differentiates each character from each other. Once again, however, the inputs are extremely simple, usually either a quarter circle, a little zigzag called the dragon punch input, or sometimes even a half circle, all combined with a button press. Same exact thing with ultimates too, either a half circle back forward or double quarter circle forward for each respective ultimate. This makes it very easy to learn new characters and just makes it less intimidating to switch. Let's compare it to something like Tekken 8 for example. Now, I love Tekken 8, I think it's great, and to get my full thoughts on it, I recommend you watch my video on it, just after this one. But despite my love for Tekken, I now can clearly see why for some newbies, it's hella intimidating. First off, the controls are much more stiff. Now obviously this is just how the game is, and more advanced tech will help you move more fluidly, but comparing it to Guilty Gear, the movement in Tekken feels like a skill on its own, which after you get comfortable with that, you then have to apply it to everything else in the fight. Whereas in Guilty Gear, that full range of motion is immediately given to you on the word go, and it's just up to you on how you decide to use it and take advantage of that movement. Secondly, each character in Tekken has like a million moves, which at higher levels means that there's a ton of depth in every character, and that's a lot of fun when you get into it. But at lower levels, it's absolute chaos. Since every little jitter and turn of the controller results in a different attack, many newbies just press buttons at random and hope that something good comes out. Even when you do get the hang of a character, the immense moveset also makes it harder to pick up new characters. At the time of me recording, I have around 40 hours in Tekken 8, but still only play Reina for the most part. There's just so much about this character that I just don't feel comfortable with fully diving into another one just yet. But in Guilty Gear, it's much easier to be concise with what you're doing. It's much easier to learn what input does what, so mashing is not as appealing for newer players. Now of course, this isn't going to stop clueless players from hyperactively pressing buttons at random, but hey, at least the game does try to get people to learn. But so far, everything I've shown you is easily learned from the main tutorial. After this, your next task will be to dive a little deeper into the game through the missions. Now, I'm sure the tutorial for you was a piece of cake, but once you get into missions, you will be bombarded with tons of information and mechanics. Now, it may seem like a lot, and you may be scared, but don't worry, the game is trying to hold your hand. You just have to take it. And by take it, I mean read it, because the text for each mission is extremely helpful in understanding what it is they want you to learn and how to use it. But for most of the beginning missions, the mechanics they are teaching you are either self-explanatory or are extremely simple to use. For example, the burst mechanic is probably one of the most important mechanics you should get out of the missions, because it's essentially just a free get out of jail card when you're being pressured like crazy. All you have to do is remember it exists and you're perfectly fine. So if you're getting absolutely pummeled in a match but your burst meter is completely full, then you're unfortunately a dumbass. Like me. But honestly, the missions just speak for themselves. I think that not just doing them, but taking the time to understand them will be a new player's key to success. Nothing they teach is niche at all, and they all have their uses and drawbacks too. For example, while faultless defense is a great way to keep distance from your opponent, it takes tension, which is a valuable resource to be used for higher damaging abilities. And the game even states it may be wise to practice limiting it to conserve tension. The biggest strength of the missions is the fact that you can control the pace at which you learn. To avoid getting overloaded with mechanics, you can just do a few missions, understand those mechanics, then go into a few matches with that knowledge until you get comfortable, and then come back to do even more missions. So when it comes to learning both the simple and complex mechanics, it's really all up to you in learning, because Guilty Gear definitely has the tools to help you do so. But after beating the missions, there is still one big choice to be made before you head off online, and that is picking a main. Now in my opinion, this is where Guilty Gear really shines, and is one of the main reasons I've kept an eye on this game for so long. In my previous video, I said that character design is an extremely important aspect for a fighting game to get right, and Guilty Gear is an absolute home run when it comes to not just their character design, but also the art style of the game. This game is so vibrant and expressive, every character just oozes with personality, and it is near impossible to not find at least one character to fall in love with. This game has some of the wackiest characters too, which makes for some really exciting moments for first time players.
Ah! What the fuck?
But of course, I can't play them all, so I'll just give you a rundown of some of the characters that I personally vibed with and picked up. The first one was the main man himself, Soul Bad Guy, and my god they do him right. Usually protagonists have this balancing act where they can't be too outlandish, but also have to be unique enough to not be considered generic. Soul Bad Guy in this regard is perfect. One look at him gives you the exact vibes Guilty Gear is going for, but he also just has this badass persona that makes him stand out. Just a masterclass in character design. But his gameplay is, well, he's kind of broken. Hey guys, welcome back to another advanced tips and tricks guide for, John Bad Guy. Today I'm going to show you a pretty complex strategy. It may be a little hard, but just follow along as best as you can.
Oh, you figured it out. Oh shit.
So as you can see, my main strategy was to spam triangle 20 fucking times. You see, there are a few characters in this game known as guerrilla characters, who are basically the characters that do less thinking and more ripping and tearing. These characters are known to be very easy, but unrelenting in their offense, and naturally, most of the characters I picked were guerrillas. You see, whenever I play this game, I never have more than like 5 brain cells operating at a time, so anything that allows me to shut off my brain and go monkey mode, I'm going to do. And Soul helps me do just that. She is the definition of rushdown, always wanting to get close and wreak havoc. He also has some great entrance options, I'm looking at you // and can close the distance extremely well. His combos are also nice and simple. Usually, all you gotta do is end in Bandit Revolver on hit, and 9 times out of 10, you're solid. Overall, he just embodies what Stripe is meant to be, hence why he's so popular and powerful. Now, he was the main character I played for this review, but there was one other character that piqued my interest, and that was none other than Alright, I get it, now shut up! Okay, I have a little confession to make. A lot of you probably think that this is my first time playing the game, but in reality, I did play a little around launch. I know, it's shocking, but it wasn't like I was getting really deep into the game. I only bought it because 1, my friend was a huge Arc System Games fan and wanted to see what was up, and 2, I saw Donkey's video on May and knew that this adorable orange tyrant and her aquatic companion was my destiny. But back then, I didn't really have the mindset to really get into the game, so I fell out of it pretty quick. But after years and newfound determination, I was now ready to truly see what May had in store. And yep, she's just as brain dead as I remembered her. Never change, May. Never change. You see, there are many reasons why she is not only so brain dead, but also so hated. She's got unbelievable damage, combos simple enough an idiot can do, and finally, unrelenting oppression through the use of animal abuse. Got your opponent against the wall but no meter? Don't worry, you can get a cool 268 damage. What the fuck? Okay, but come on now. You can't tell me that her and her dolphins aren't absolutely adorable. Like I literally get to shoot fucking dolphins and whales at my opponent. How the hell could I pass this up? And even better, I get to use the most powerful move in the game. The Big Mama.
Come on! Big Mama! Big Mama, please! No! Yes, it worked! Oh, yep, this guy messed up. This guy definitely messed up. This is the call. I hear her calling. I hear her. Big Mama! Big Mama! Oh, why does it keep working, man? They can block it when they get off the wall, bro.
But yeah, it really doesn't take much to pick up May. All you really need is her basic 4-hit combo, some decent zoning, aka dolphining, and a whole lot of caffeine, and you should be good to go. In fact, you see all these buttons? Well, in the beginning, you only need 2 of them. This should get you through the lower ranks. But yeah, it wasn't until I fought another soul as May when I realized that I've been playing 2 of the most brain-dead characters in the entire game. There was not much cognitive function going on in my brain, and I felt a little bad about that. So I decided to pick up a 3rd character. I know, it's ambitious. The character I ended up selecting was Giovanna, and no, it's not just because she's hot, it's also because she has an adorable doggo with her. Aw, good boy. You know, I've just realized that all my characters have something to do with animals. Wait, no, it's not what you think, I'm not a... But anyway, I didn't play much of her, only enough to understand her character, and then I realized that she was yet another rushdown character. Okay, even though this looks bad, there is generally a lot of variety in the characters of Guilty Gear. You have grapplers with dangerous grabs like the big man Potemkin, or zoners who will keep you at range like Johnny or Axel. And even though all the characters I played shared a general playstyle, how they manifest that rushdown mentality is a little different. Soul puts heavy pressure on the opponent, and once they're in the corner, the ball is in his court. May, however, has great options to control the neutral game, and has good mobility for entry both in the air and in the ground with their dolphins. The cast is diverse, not only through character design, but also through gameplay as well. And with the diversity of the cast comes a lot of benefits, but also drawbacks. A lot of people will say that each character plays like an entirely different game, and yes, that's a lot of fun when trying new characters, but it can also mean that playing against each character feels like a different game as well, which is either really fun or really annoying. Learning some characters feels challenging but rewarding once you get it. I think that the characters from the base game exemplify this. Sure, characters like May and Soul are annoying, but at least you know what they're doing, and once you figure out their quirks, it can feel amazing. But with some of the new characters, I have no idea what the hell is going on. I'm especially looking at you, Asuka, because what the hell is this? There's like 50 different things on the screen right now. There's just so much going on with some of these characters that can feel overwhelming at times. I mean, just imagine a new player who not only is trying to learn the fundamentals of the game and the character they're playing, but they're also trying to figure out what the hell their opponent is doing as well. And I think the game knows that matchups are going to be a huge part of this game, because there are entire sections of the missions dedicated to learning those matchups. They're decent, but I still don't think they give the full picture. But even then, that feeling of being overwhelmed is most likely going to be a product of the playstyle this game encourages. Because most people play this game like they're zoinked up on caffeine, and oh my god, this bitch is crazy, how... The real name of this game is aggression, because that's the thing Guilty Gear wants you to strive for the most. Standing around and not doing anything? Boom, tension penalty. Want to use faultless defense to get some distance? Boom, tension penalty. Everything about this game is wiring you to be a non-stop killing machine, and I think that's part of the reason why this game is more appealing to casual players. Every mechanic is trying to get shy and reserve players to break out their shell and get a little wacky. There is rarely a dull moment in a Guilty Gear match, and the game actively encourages you to get in there and try new things. And after you familiarize yourself with the core of the game, you're going to want to start looking into combos. And the cool thing about Guilty Gear's combo system is that for the most part, it is entirely community based, meaning all the combos you learn are going to be made by the community, and in turn, you can post combos for other people to try as well. However, for me, it's a little messy and confusing, and I know some of you guys are going to want the most optimal combo for maximum damage. And for that, there's a site called Dust Loop that goes over the best routes to milk every juicy bit of damage. I, however, am a baboon brain troglodyte, so if I simply see a health bar go bye-bye, then I'm more than satisfied. But honestly, it is so much fun messing around with your combos and finding different routes to go down. The game actively encourages variety in combos with mechanics such as the Roman Cancel, which automatically extends combos when you time it on hit. There are other uses for Roman Cancels, but come on, we all know what the best one is. And combos just feel so meaty and fun to pull off. Most combos require you to time your button presses rather than just spamming, and that just gives so much more satisfaction to each button press. But anyway, with all these systems, Guilty Gear is actively begging you to go hog wild, and you will be rewarded for hyper aggression. Now this obviously has some drawbacks, as with this focus on aggression, it makes it so that some more rushdown guerrilla characters are more effective. It just makes sense that these rushdown characters are going to feel very strong in a game which actively encourages rushdown. But ultimately, this is going to be more of a personal preference thing. If you are an adrenaline junkie that loves high octane action at every turn, then Guilty Gear is perfect for you. However, if you're not that and want a more reserved bout, then Guilty Gear may feel like sensory overload for you. This is also in part with the art style, which is extremely vibrant and cool, but at times it feels like a million things are happening on the screen. I'm still looking at you, Asuka. But anyway, it's just personal preference, and for me, sometimes the big booms and flashing colors are just what I need to get my dopamine fix. But there are definitely times where it does get a little too much. But shifting gears, pun not intended, I want to quickly talk about matchmaking because Guilty Gear does some very interesting things with it. You do have your basic matchmaking, just press a button, wait in the practice lobby, and get a match. It's simple and it works. Kinda. A lot of the time you will get matched with the same people over and over again, which can get boring at times. So instead, head into your assigned floor and there you can freely challenge people and overall have a lot more control on who you want to battle. It's a creative way that allows pickier players to not get frustrated. Is there a character who you just don't like fighting? Well, don't worry, you don't have to accept fights from those players. You may be seen as a huge wuss, but who cares? If that's how you have fun, then you do you. But Guilty Gear extends its freedoms to the ranking system as well, because the floor you're assigned to, aka your rank in this game, is simply a recommendation. You're freely able to play in floors that are way above you, but you just can't go into floors below you. I think this is great as it gives players even more choices on who they get to play against. If you're an arrogant bastard like me and think the floor you're in is too low, then go ahead, try your luck on the higher floors.
Easy fucking dub, bro. Get me out of this floor, bro. These guys are too easy, bro. These guys are too easy, bro.
A few moments later.
Yeah, this was a huge mistake. I'm sorry, bro, please.
The only real complaint I have with the ranking system is that the game doesn't have, or at least doesn't tell you your RR, so you will be playing a few games and just randomly demote or promote without warning. There's not much satisfaction when ranking up. It just feels like, oh hey, that's neat. I just wish they gave you something to go off of, like a point system, which is how most ranked video games do it. But that's ranked for you. Now of course, this game has its own version of casual matchmaking in the parks. The key difference between the parks and the floors is that the parks are open to all floor levels, meaning a lot of players here are really stinking good. Now the uninformed newbies would avoid this place like it's the plague, but the smart ones will know that this place is the best place to get better fast. These players will exploit every little flaw in your game, and you can learn a lot from that. It's the fighting game equivalent of eating your vegetables, only instead of vegetables, it's an ass whooping. And hey, even if you don't learn anything, going back to your assigned floor will feel like playing Pee-wee football after playing in the NFL. Overall, if any of you are worried about the online experience, then don't worry. The game's online mechanics are very fine-tuned and give you a ton of options on how to enjoy the game. Now, if any of you guys were interested in any single player content, then this game is going to simply tell you to respectfully fuck off, because there is barely any single player content in this game. The story is literally a movie, no gameplay whatsoever, which I just find odd. I play games to play them, and I don't really know if I want to boot up a game in order to just watch an anime. In my opinion, if they wanted to tell a story like this, then it should have been its own separate anime. That way it can have a bigger budget and feel like its own little thing. I always thought an anthology series with each episode following a different member of the cast would be a great idea. Hell, even the openings could be the respective theme of each character. Then again, I don't know much about the Guilty Gear lore, so I don't know if this would work, but hey, someone in the comments is more than willing to enlighten me. But even if you wanted to watch the story, it's probably not gonna make too much sense because Guilty Gear has a fuck ton of lore. And I personally don't want to take a college course just to understand who the funny dolphin girl is. But besides the story, when it comes to single player stuff you can actually play, it's also not very good. You have arcade mode where you mindlessly play against bots that get harder and harder, or you have survival where you mindlessly play against bots, only this time your health carries over from the previous fight, and in turn, the bots don't get better. Yeah, they really suck. So, if you were looking for some single player content, then stay away, cause this ain't it, chief. But that should be everything to Guilty Gear. We covered matchmaking, playstyles, characters, and just about everything a noob should need to know. So I guess I got nothing else to say. Oh hey, Pumpkin, did I miss anything? Hey, wait, huh? There is no way I could make a video about Guilty Gear and not talk about the OST, because it straight up slaps, claps, and hits hard. Half the adrenaline in each match came from the banging soundtrack, and even outside of the game, you'll catch me bumping some of these tracks. There are so many bangers, and each one feels distinct and unique. Put me on a heavy bag with Find Your One Way and I'll look like fucking Rod Tank. But put on Disaster of Passion and bitch, you know I'm busting it down potentially sexual style. But seriously, I think that each track has god levels of character building, because you can get a lot from these characters just from their themes. Whenever I take the time to listen to another track, it feels like I'm being given a badass introduction to another character in the cast. In fact, the songs might be the only thing I need to understand these characters, because no amount of lore I could read could get me as hyped as the emotional climax of Armor Clad Face. Honestly, if you don't like fighting games at all but love rock music, you should at least check out the soundtrack, because it is very much worth it. But after that, now I finally said all I wanted to about Guilty Gear. Now overall thoughts? Well, I think it's a great game and a perfect option for people unsure about fighting games. This game and its mechanics are very welcoming to new players and have them in mind at all times. Sure, it may not have the depth of say something like Tekken, but it sure makes up for it in presentation and style. And compared to the two, you just can't go wrong. While Tekken may be harder, the depth of the game keeps me coming back, and every time I play, I discover more things to improve upon. But if I just want to hop into something and have some fun, then Guilty Gear seems like a great choice to get that fighting game experience without too much stress. But I think it's time I retired the title of Fighting Game Noob. I've already gotten to 2, and while I could make a case for a 3rd run, that would just feel redundant. So instead, I think it's time I moved on. Of course, I will still play these games outside of videos, but I don't see me making any content regarding fighting games anytime soon. But of course, if anything catches my eye, or I see a really good suggestion, then plans can definitely change. And to all my viewers who have stayed here this long, I just want to say, thank you so much, and I'm sorry. First off, this video is a little longer than I wanted it to be, but it took way too long to make, And it's just simply because my life has been a little hectic lately. Of course, it's just usual school and final exams, but then I got sick and I had to stay home for a few days, and after that I thought I was getting better, but of all things a fucking nosebleed puts me in the hospital, and finally here's me just shitting out this video. I will be honest and say that some of the parts in the end feel a little rushed, and that's what I'm really apologizing for. But I think this really opened my eyes to what I gotta do moving forward. So what I'm thinking is I always want to do one video a month. That's my end goal. But I think the videos will have to be a little lesser in scale. I'm aiming for at least below 20 minutes. That's what I want. And I don't think I will be talking about any more than one game per video. Videos like the wacky and serious video are so fun to make. I love making them. But god, are they a mess. There's just so much going on, and I simply now don't have the time for it. Maybe later when I do have more time, or when my body doesn't feel like it wants to spontaneously combust, I will do more videos like that, but for now, those are going to be on the back end. So I hope you guys understand, and I hope you guys look forward, because hey, if all things turns out well, this will just mean more content for you guys. So, of course, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy these videos, please like and subscribe, hit the bell to be notified of every time I upload, and I will catch you another time.